decided I wanted to do another follow-up video in regards to what your classroom is saying about you. And this time I wanted to expound on the elements of visual clutter and balance, which are part of composition. As I have said previously, your classroom is a part of your brand. The composition and how it looks can have a huge impact on your brand. Even if you're not a designer or an artist, you have recognized awkward looking visuals and thought, something's not quite right here. And you've also been able to detect that there are some compositions that just draw you in and make you want to look at every element within the image. I wanted to share some rules of composition for non-designers and how you can apply that to the classroom. Obvious focal point is you. If the students or parents don't know where to look because your background is fighting for dominance, you need to tweak your background. Some of the different characteristics that you can tweak to find better dominance is size, color, shape, depth, and value. So turn on your camera. Give your classroom behind you a critical look. Is there anything that seems to be fighting for dominance in the frame? This is usually the easiest rule to keep because you are the focal point. But just be aware of how you as the focal point plays visually with the rest of your classroom. The goal of good visual design is to orient the viewer's eyes in a certain direction. The first step is creating a focal point. Then you provide a path for your viewer's eyes to travel through your classroom that always leads back to you. One element of this I always found fascinating is how people will follow the line of sight of people in pictures. So when you are grouping pictures together for a scrapbook or maybe a gallery wall, you always want the people in those pictures to be facing inward. So when people come to look at the composition you have created, their eye will stay within the whole composition. Also help create a path with leading lines directing the eye where to go. Like following the lines on a treasure map, the eye will follow the path that you create. Effective design, all elements should not have the same visual weight. If so, they would all be competing for the same attention, and the viewer wouldn't know what to look at first. Play with the scale of different things that are in your room. I have seen some people post pictures of their classroom and everything has the same visual weight. The stars, the apples, the really pretty bunting banners. Everything is cute and beautiful, but because they all have the same visual weight, it loses the impact that I am sure they are trying to make. Make those 5 apples that you are using as a visual reminder a little bit bigger, or change the visual weight of something by changing the texture or the color to a lighter or darker hue. To understand visual balance, you have to realize each element carries its own visual weight, determined by its size, color, and shape, among other things. Just like you would try to balance a physical seesaw, you would want to adjust the placement of your visual objects in your classroom to achieve balance. You can achieve balance through symmetry and asymmetry. Symmetry is often regarded as harmonious and balanced. It can also be seen as static, but at the same time captivating. Asymmetry is unconventional, but it can be interpreted as dynamic and stimulating. Traditionally, Chinese are more drawn to symmetry, but I don't think parents won't pick you because you have an asymmetrical look. That being said, choose the right balance for you. You can create symmetry and asymmetry through repetition, contrast, and effective use of negative spaces. You may have heard this before, but negative space or white space is just as important to your design as positive elements. But on the off chance you have no idea what I am talking about because you never took an art class in college, let me explain. Negative space in art is the space around and between the subject of an image. Negative space may be most evident when the space around the subject, not just the subject itself, forms an interesting or artistically relevant shape. Such a shape is occasionally used to create an artistic effect. Negative space has many functions within a visual. It lets the viewer's eyes rest. It gives room for visual pathways that the eye can follow. It draws attention to the main element of the design, which is you. And it makes your design look clean, sophisticated, and efficient. This is where less is more comes into play. Filling your background leaves no room for negative space. So if your background is completely filled, try to think of things that you might be able to take away and remove to give that negative space. And there's always concern for overstimulation. If you have so much going on in your background and Bao Bao has a difficult time focusing, that probably isn't helping anything. And remember, 65% of the world's population are visual learners. So your classroom and its composition has a good chance of having an effect on over half your students. Let's try to put our best selves on display with a welcoming and pleasing composition of a classroom that welcomes students and parents alike, and that they choose you over thousands of other teachers. To review, here are the 5 rules of composition. If you have any questions about classroom composition, please post them in the comments. And if you liked this video, click subscribe so you won't miss out on any future content. This is it for me, Cindy, signing off. May you find balance and harmony in your classroom. May the composition you create resonate with your students that are meant to be with you. And may your brand be as dynamic as you are.